Hi, my name's Catherine from the Ontario Science Centre, and I love being outside, whether it's at school or at home in my neighbourhood or outside here at the Ontario Science Centre. I love exploring the world around me. It's so important that we connect with nature and the land where we live, work or go to school. You'll find all sorts of plants and animals when you start looking for them. For me, I really love trees. This is one of my favourite trees, the weeping willow, because it reminds me and my sons of the whomping willow from Harry Potter. I wonder if you have a favourite tree. Perhaps you have a favourite tree you like to climb, or a favourite tree to relax and sit under. Or do you have a favourite tree you have planted and cared for? Or maybe you have a favourite tree because it has a pretty flower, or turns a beautiful colour in the fall. Perhaps you can see the tree from your home or on your walk to school. Perhaps you don't have a favourite tree yet, and this is the start of your journey. There are lots of different types of trees, but it can be hard to tell that they're different. If you look closely though, you might notice that each tree has something special about it. This tree has needles instead of leaves. It's a type of conifer. It's known as a hemlock tree. This tree's a bit different. Check out the leaves. I think it's an oak tree. Look at the leaves. The leaves have these lovely deep lobes in them. I want to learn all about trees today. I'm curious about how trees change in each season, about the animals that visit them, and what makes each tree special. Later on, I'll talk to you about how you can learn all about your trees in your neighbourhood. But first, I want to introduce you to my friend David, who has a story to tell about one of his favourite trees.
Hi, Catherine, and hi to all of you too. I'd like to read you a story I wrote about a very special tree. This is called Oaky the Oak. Come take a seat, gather round, folks, and I'll tell you the story of Oaky the Oak. She had shiny green leaves with gray flaky bark and lived on a hill in a beautiful park. Oaky's long roots let her drink from the ground, and she soaked up the sun with her own leafy crown. Oaky was happy to be an oak tree, but sometimes she wondered what else she could be. In the spring, robins built nests for their eggs that soon became babies with beaks and 2 legs. As they grew bigger, they learned how to sing, and soon it was time to spread out their wings. Slowly but surely the birds took to the sky, and Oaky thought to herself, I'd sure like to fly. She put her mind to it, but try as she might, Oaky the Oak just couldn't take flight. Oaky was happy to be an oak tree, but sometimes she wondered what else she could be. Summer came next, and it was time for some bugs to come up from the ground and then make a loud buzz. The bugs were so small, the size of a twig, yet somehow their voices were awfully big. They buzzed and they buzzed all week and weekend, until at long last they found a bug friend. Oaky thought buzzing looked like such fun, she'd make a tree friend to share all her sun. She took a deep breath and let it all out. But Oaky the Oak just couldn't shout. Oaky was happy to be an oak tree, but sometimes she wondered what else she could be. In the fall time, when it wasn't so warm, Oaky decided to drop some acorns. Her squirrely friends would stop by to play and then take some acorns back home to their dray. They used her oak leaves to cushion their nest and huddled inside for a long winter's rest. As the squirrels built their new homes, Oaky thought she'd make one of her own. She tried to use sticks, her red leaves, and such, but Oaky the Oak just couldn't build much. Oaky was happy to be an oak tree, but sometimes she wondered what else she could be. When the snow came with the cold winter air, Oaky's brown branches were suddenly bare. But Oaky knew it was nothing to fear. Every oak tree sheds leaves once a year. One snowy day, she looked down from her hill and saw a spruce tree with all its leaves still. I'd like to try it, even just once, to keep all my leaves through these long winter months. She wiggled her twigs and made quite a scene, but Oaky the Oak just couldn't stay green. Winter grew old, the snow would soon melt, and Oaky the Oak felt bad for herself. I can't fly away, I don't make a sound, I can't build a dray or stay green all year round. Why would I want to be an oak tree? There are so many other things I could be. Just when Oaky felt awfully low, a single green leaf started to grow. And then came another and more after that, and then one by one her friends all came back.
Hey there, Oaky, we missed you a lot. Look how much bigger our baby birds got. Without your help, Oaky, we'd have nowhere to live.
Thank you so much for all that you give. All of a sudden, she stopped feeling blue. Oaky remembered what things she could do. Her roots in the ground were home for the bugs. Her spindly branches gave good squirrel hugs. And what did it matter if she sometimes shed? Everyone loved when her leaves turned bright red. Oaky was happy to be an oak tree. She was the best Oaky an oak tree can be.
Thanks, David. That was a lovely story. I have some questions for all of you about Oaky the Oak Tree. Please feel free to pause the video anytime you want to stop and think or talk about any of your answers. I really enjoyed learning how important Oaky was to the animals that visited her. Can you remember which animals visited Oaky? I remember the birds building a nest in the spring, but which animals visited Oaky in the summer? And what about the fall and the winter? It was amazing. We got to see Oaky throughout the whole year. Have you ever spent a full year with a tree and really noticed it? I wonder if the trees in your neighbourhood will go through the same seasonal changes that Oaky did. Let's find out. Let's choose a tree near your home or school and check on it throughout the year. Each time we visit it, we're going to make some observations. So what do I mean by observations? Well, as scientists, we use as many senses as we can. An observation is anything that we see, hear, touch, or smell. This is the tree I'm going to visit. I don't want to forget my observations, so I'm going to record anything I find interesting about my tree. That might mean drawing some pictures, collecting leaves that have fallen on the ground, or writing some words in my science notebook. I'm also going to write down the date and the time so I can remember when I was here. In our story, we saw that Oaky went through changes in the different seasons. What changes did you notice? What about the spruce tree? Did it change too? Do all trees change? To test that out, we set up a camera at the Ontario Science Centre and filmed the trees for a whole year. What do you notice? Some of the trees changed colour and lost their leaves in the fall, just like Oaky. But other trees had needles that stayed on the tree all year round. This is something to look out for when you're observing your tree. How do you adapt to the different seasons? What do you do differently in spring, summer, fall and winter? Oaky was visited by lots of different animals throughout the year. There were robins in the spring, insects in the summer, and squirrels in the fall. Do you think animals and birds and insects will visit your tree? Be sure to look out for them when you are observing it and record anything in your notebook. You can either write down the name of the animal or draw a picture. The animals visited Oaky because she helped them meet their needs. The birds built nests in her branches and the squirrels ate her acorns. Do oak trees help humans too? The wood from oak trees can be used to make furniture and toys. Oak trees produce oxygen that we can breathe. And humans eat acorns too. Trees and plants give us so much, which is why it's so important that we take care of them. Does your tree do anything special for you? Record it in your notebook. The plants and the animals in the story all needed different things, and they all acted differently too. What could the animals do that Oaky couldn't? Oaky felt sad because she couldn't fly and she couldn't build a dray. And then she remembered all of the good things that she could do. What special things can oak trees do? What do you do that's different from the plants and animals in the story? I hope you had fun learning about trees and hearing the story of Oaky the Oak. now it's your turn to explore a tree of your own and make some observations. There are lots of different ways you can record what you see. And if you need some help getting started, check out the link in the video. Here are some examples from my friends at the Ontario Science Centre who made observations of their favourite trees. I made a model of my observations of Oaky the Oak. I saw some nice flowers in the spring and birds making nests in her branches. In the summer, the leaves were big and green, and insects were making home in her bark. In the autumn, the leaves were turning a beautiful colour, and squirrels were making drays with them. I also noticed a lot of acorns and leaves on the ground, and I collected them to remind me of my visit. In the winter, all the leaves had disappeared, but I could still see the dray made by the squirrels. I'm going to stick this snowflake on to show what the weather was like when I visited my tree in the winter.